Hello, everyone, and welcome to our coffee chat. So we're just giving a few minutes, people should join, but welcome to this coffee chat. And so today we have a coffee chat on entrepreneurship development in universities in Africa with special focus on Ghana and Kenya. So very soon you'd hear more about this topic and would have our speakers also start. So today's coffee chat, we would go through the welcomes and introductions. And because this is a collaboration between two communities of practice, that's and the higher education, engagement and transformation community of practice, and the business, entrepreneurship, private sector engagement community of practice, would have a brief overview of both communities of practice. And then we delve into the topic on fostering entrepreneurship at African universities. So this is a coffee chat, and as much as possible, we would want you to engage with one another. So there would be breakout sessions where we'll talk about what else universities can do to foster entrepreneurship development. So after we've listened to the speakers, we'd also go to our breakout rooms to have discussions on that. And that will last for about 10 minutes. And when we come back, one person from each breakout session would share with us their reflections from the discussions that they had. And then we go on next steps and then we wrap up. So thank you very much for joining us. I am Akofa Dawson. I'm the youth advisor for the Higher Education and Engagement Community of Practice. And joining this call as well is the Community of Practice champion, Usma Anta. So we are from the Higher Education Engagement and Transformation Community of Practice. And what we seek to do is to bring everybody together within the higher education community as a way to advance higher education and youth learning priorities. So all this is to strengthen the link between PYD, that's Positive Youth Development, and higher education programming. So at a point, there'll be the links to join these communities of practice if you would want to. So I am now handing over to the BEPSE Community of Practice. So Jack, over to you to introduce yourself, give us an overview of the BEPSE COP, and then you take over from there. Over to you, Jack.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm Jack Omondi from Kenya, and I'm from the BEPSE team together with my colleagues, whom I will introduce to introduce themselves and give us an overview of the BEPSE team. Then I will come back and introduce the topic and our speakers. Welcome, you, Woody and Lara.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vavodi Pierre, and I am also a co-champion alongside with Jack for the Business Entrepreneurship and Private Sector Engagement Community of Practice. And we're very happy to have you here, and we're excited for the incredible discussions and connection that awaits. So the Business Entrepreneurship and Private Sector Engagement Community of Practice focuses on building skills in entrepreneurship and on collaboration with the private sector. It is open to all sectors, but focuses more on agriculture, adding other sectors such as health, education, transport, based on member interest and feedback. We are very happy to have you. And as Akofa mentioned earlier, at the end of the webinar, we'll be happy to have you join one of the BEPSE, one of the COPs if you have not done so before, and if you're interested. Now I will let Lara, our co-champion, introduce herself.
Thanks, Sovadi. I'm just here to say hi to everybody and excited to listen to this discussion. And hope to meet a couple of you in the breakout groups. Thanks.
Thank you so much, my colleagues from the BEPSE team. And today our topic is a very great topic, fostering entrepreneurship at African universities. And the role of universities is undergoing a fundamental change to encourage and support young entrepreneurs. Traditionally, the exposure of students in higher education was limited to their specific domain. But however, this is changing. Currently, the universities are embracing programs like entrepreneurship to help the youth to develop new ways to solve problems and gain insight on ways to navigate the path to success from ideation to adoption. In this our coffee chat, we are going to delve into the world of entrepreneurship within the African universities, celebrating our young entrepreneurs hearing their experiences, the challenges that they faced, as well as their achievements. So our first speaker today is, whom I am introducing, is Ms. Grace Osinde, a recent graduate of Machakos University and an award-winning humanitarian enthusiast with an exemplary record of charity work, entrepreneurship, social impact, and has a relentless pursuit of empowering the youth. She is currently an ambassador of the African Future Empowerment Conference, where she champions the cause for fostering innovation, entrepreneurship, and sustainable development. Currently, also, she is in Ghana with the MILEAD Fellowship Program, where she will be there for 3 weeks just to understand the idea of entrepreneurship. So please welcome Grace and share with us your experiences at Machakos University, the achievements that you gained, and also the challenges you faced. Welcome, Grace Osinde.
Thank you very much, Jack, for the introduction. Yeah, in Machakos University, my entrepreneurial experiences in Machakos University. Yeah, so I joined Machakos University in 2016. I joined Machakos University in 2016, where I studied Bachelor of Commerce. Bachelor of Commerce is basically things to do with business administration, but I majored in human resource. So when I joined in 2016, I had a passion of helping people, passion of helping school children. Well, it was just a passion and it ended there. But then I met this lecturer, he was called Dr. Aggrey, and she helped me with skills and showed me how I could turn my passion into business. So what I did, what she taught me is how I could start a charity foundation where I could help street children be financially independent, how I can start small-scale businesses for street families, and how I will be in a position to help them run the businesses so they're in a position to be financially independent and leave the street. So in 2017, that's when Street Approach was created. That's when I started Street Approach. So what we did, we got kids and we trained them on entrepreneurial skills, on how with Dr. Margaret Musioka, she really helped with the training of entrepreneurial skills with the street children. I'm talking about children from age 16 to 19. So yeah, so she trained them on how we can start businesses and
Grace, you are breaking up a little bit. So could you try to move closer to an internet source?
they were testing. I was also doing my thing. I got a small shop in the university where we
Grace, are you able to hear me? You are breaking a little.
Can you hear me well
would
now?
you kindly move closer
Can you hear
to network source? Yes, we are able to hear you.
It may
Continue.
also help, Grace, if you speak just a little bit slower to make sure we can understand you.
And next to the mic, yes. Grace, go ahead, please.
I think we have lost her.
Grace, yeah, Grace, are you there?
Grace may have dropped, so
But,
maybe we can continue on and then come back.
Okay.
Yeah, but to put it in a nutshell, before I introduce the next speaker, to wait for as we introduce the next speaker, Grace is a young graduate from Machakos University, and she had this passion because I met her in around 2019 at a function in Nairobi when she was still a student, and she had this passion for making a change with the street children in Nairobi. And while at it, what she informed me was that she had this idea, but when she joined Machakos University, which by then was not offering exclusively entrepreneurship program, she met a certain lecturer, which I'm not sure the name now, but this lecturer guided her into and motivated her to continue with her idea. Because most universities in Kenya don't support entrepreneurship programs apart from the few like the University of Nairobi and Kenyatta University. So most of these universities in Kenya are not primarily supporting young entrepreneurs, but because of a relentless pursuit for her passion, then she started an organization that is supporting street children in Nairobi. And she has done a lot of tremendous work working with the Machakos University, but also other young graduates or students from other universities, but also in primary and secondary schools. And she has done a lot. When she comes back, and then she will continue the discussion. Over to you, Akofa, to introduce our next speaker.
All right, Jack, thank you. So as Jack mentioned, I'll be introducing the next speaker, and then when Grace comes back online, she'll join. So today joining our call from Ghana is Oliver Kwabena Aggrey. And Oliver is a young and dynamic academic with a background in creative marketing, informal economies, enterprise development, and blue business strategy. He is the hub manager at the University of Ghana Business School Innovation and Incubation Hub. Oliver leads the team responsible for delivering a range of extracurricular support programs and services for entrepreneurial students, graduates, and some rural enterprises in various communities in Ghana. Prior to his academic and enterprise development career, Oliver, with a group of friends, set up and ran their own creative marketing businesses. So joining Oliver as well would be Joseph Oredu from Ghana. But Oliver would start and then hand the mic over to Joseph. So over to you, Oliver.
Thank you, Akofa, and thank you everyone for being on the call. So I'm here to share my experiences with setting up and running an incubation center at the University of Ghana Business School. Just so that I share some insights on how entrepreneurship can be practicalized within higher education institutions. So I'll start with a brief analogy. So in perusing World Bank data, we see that the ratio of unemployed youth who are advanced in education keep on rising each year. From 2010 to 2070, the data on Ghana keep on rising and rising and rising. This means that a lot of students go through universities, but at the end of the day, they end up not getting jobs to do. And so it translates that the universities or the higher education institutions have a mandate to not just churn out advanced or learned graduates, but also graduates that can develop businesses for themselves. So that onus lands on the higher education institutions. But we notice that aside faculty members trying to teach and also lecture students, their promotions are tied to research. So at the end of the day, you find out that a lot of the higher education institutions in Africa, a lot of faculty members are targeting papers or academic outputs and not entrepreneurship outputs for their students. So I'm going to share unique experiences of the University of Ghana and what we've done with our Innovation and Incubation Hub at the UGBS. So in 2019, we started the Innovation and Incubation Hub in the University of Ghana Business School. It started as an online program. We didn't have a physical space. And it took a lot of institutional determination to make that happen. As I mentioned, a lot of the faculty members had academic work to do and so were not ready. So our dean at the time delegated young members of the university. So at the time, I was a master's student. I was not a graduate yet, but I was put in the team to try and look for avenues where we can set up an office that championed innovation and incubation at the university. Together with myself, there was a faculty member, a member that had come back from Denmark fresh at the time. And also for him, what he did that was unique for me, that's why I joined that team, was that outside of teaching just entrepreneurship, he was having a module in his entrepreneurship course called the Entrepreneurship Fair. So as part of the course, instead of students sitting in the exam room to write exams, they would develop a business idea that they will pitch to investors at the end of the semester, and that was their grading. And I thought that was very perfect. So in recommending the team to set up the Innovation Hub, he was part of it. There are three things that I'll speak on that were very vital to setting up the Innovation Hub within the higher education institution setup. It was institutional buy-in. So we realized that prior to the setting up of the UGBS Innovation and Incubation Hub, there had been several attempts by government officials, by faculty members, but the same problems lingered, the same thing that I mentioned about. First, their time, because their promotions were linked to publishing academic papers. So they were not going to waste their time coming to develop entrepreneurship avenues for students. They will focus on publishing papers that would make sure that they got promotions. So institutional buy-in was very important, where the higher hierarchy of the university had to be very convinced that this is the avenue we want to take. Also, if we tie institutionalization or promotions of lecturers, not just to the academic output, but also their outputs with their students, right? I mean, that is a long shot, but we can, that's what we did. So we made provisions that lecturers that were giving output with their students, that are going out with entrepreneurial prowess, are given special positions. So for instance, I work with a dynamic lecturer called Dr. Champon. Through his actions or through his initiatives with student-led businesses, he's now the coordinator of the hub that I am in now. And that's also a promotion in some sense. So if institutional buy-in is gotten for innovation and incubation and entrepreneurship, that can also be sustained in that level. And also another thing that I saw was that students themselves were not partaking in entrepreneurial activities because that was not tied to their promotion or their outcomes as students. So they were not graded for it. So for instance, if I was a student and then I didn't go and sit down to write an exam, but then in the course of being in the business school, I developed a business that didn't go towards my grades, right? So I was not motivated to start a business whilst I was in school. What I would do is that I'll focus on learning and passing my exam instead of starting a business. So make that an incentive. So what we did was we created an avenue where students could do their national service, and Joseph, who will speak here after, is a testament of that. So he did his national service with the hub. So that's a fully paid 1 year of the government's money that you stay with the hub, and then you develop your business ideas. So I'm saying that some initiatives, right, within higher education institution, aside championing only academics, would help higher education institutions champion entrepreneurship and make sure entrepreneurship really becomes a standstill in the higher education institution landscape. So I'll introduce Joseph. So Joseph also has a unique experience. So I remember when I was a graduate student, when I was in the business school as a graduate student, in the beginning sessions of when we started the hub, he approached me that he had an idea. At that point, the hub wasn't set up, so I didn't know any help to give him. So we were just sharing ideas. Okay, do it this way. But when the hub was set up proper, he came through as a student with a business idea. 3 years down the line, now he has his own business that he runs, and he's received funding from a lot of developmental agents. So I will introduce Joseph Oredu, whose company is Piankra Comtech Limited, to also speak on his experiences. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Joseph Oredu, and I was part of the inaugural cohort for the UGBS Innovation Hub, the UGBS Nest. And as Oliver mentioned, so even before the Nest, I had tried my hands out on various entrepreneurial projects, right? Startups, businesses, and all. So prior to the UGBS Nest, I with a couple of friends, we came together and we set up a student influencer agency, right? Where we advertised, we got students within various campuses and we did marketing and advertisements for various companies. So, and now within the hub, we are also working for a team. We are also working in a company which is Fihankra, which is a security-based entity where we look at personal safety when it comes to people and the movements within the African region. So I'd like this opportunity to contrast the two projects. That is the project of ours, Effusion Network, that was the name of the influencer agency, and Fihankra, which is during the hub or after the hub, so as to provide a clear sense of the difference or the impact of what's having a hub or an entrepreneurship center within the university made a difference within from my unique experience anyway. So with the Effusion Network, we came together, a group of friends, the excitement, energy. As soon as we entered, we went straight to register the business. We had an idea and we were carried on by the fact that you just need an idea. And when you have the idea, you'd be able to figure it out. You don't need money to initially set anything up. So that was what we did. We went straight to register and we had student influencers on board, over 150 student influencers on board. And we started going out, reaching out to companies and all those elements. And what we quickly realized was that it's really a myth when they say you can start a business, you don't need capital to be able to start a business. That was what we realized really hard and really fast, that capital was very important, right? Especially we registered officially, which looking back, I think might have been a bit too hasty. And all the various requirements and tax registrations and procurement act certifications, and there were various legal requirements, right? Auditing, accounting, all that. And this was just a group of marketing students, finance students that we knew barely anything about the whole scope of business, right? So that became really hard for us. And we found that after a point, we had to shut down the whole business because it looked like we would not be able to keep up with the various regulations. We had to audit, we had to file various taxes, and we had missed like 2 or 3 years worth of taxes and all that. So it was just easier to close down the whole entity. Now, further down the line, I spoke to Oliver about the project and all that. And with almost the same team of my mates with me that we were working on the Fusion project, we developed an interest when it came to security and safety and keeping people safe. So we decided that we are young people, we are innovators. Why don't we build something around keeping people safe, right? But this time, with the lessons learned, we knew that there was a gap, right? It wasn't just ideas, and we needed funds or money to be able to do something. So fortunately for us, it was around that time that the hub had been set up and they released a call out for entrepreneurs to join the team, come with your ideas and all those elements. So we registered, we formed part of the first cohorts of the UGBS Nest. And now what happened was that before that, we were very concentrated on building the products. We decided to build mobile technologies, TravGuard, right? That's based on the African country you are in. So currently Ghana, it's automatically scrapes the the news website articles, so you don't have to watch the news. So if there are any sort of security incidents or issues, you get a pop-up notification. So prior to joining the hub, we were very concentrated on the product, building the product. And it was through the hub that we learned the wider scope of business, what it entails when it comes to the finances, right? The accounting, all those elements when it comes to compliance, when it comes to legal. It was within the hub, within that space, that we got to learn the fuller scope of business, right? Beyond the idea. Most of these things that we was not covered in class or within our academic studies, because our academics, I did marketing and economics. With my marketing course, I go and I'm taught marketing. I know very little about accounting or any of its principles or the things that needs to be done there. But then with an institution or a place like the hub, because it's centered towards business, now we get to learn better, right? The fuller scope when it comes to running a business, an entity. And that really helped. We were able to get some funding. We took part in various pitching exercises. And the crucial part that the Nest played when it came to Fihankra was giving us a soft landing into industry. So when it comes to the business world, talking from within the Ghanaian landscape, it is a very, how should I say, brutal place where you need people who know people to be able to get you into meetings with certain institutions or agencies. And if we were just a startup on the streets, getting some meetings or getting into some offices would be relatively harder. The institutions like the hub, they help make that easier, right? By giving us the contacts, the connections to be able to meet various things. So I think that's is what the hub really provides for us. Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you for sharing your experience. Yeah, that was spot on and very succinct, and also letting us know how your university hub has helped you in your entrepreneurial journey. So I see Grace is back on the call. Grace, can you hear me, please?
Sorry, Kofa, Grace is in Ghana, especially actually in the University of Ghana. So I think she might be experiencing some network challenges because she jetted today. So she was in the call. I'm not seeing her again. Just texting, just reaching her out. Yeah. She's in Ghana right now.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Thank you.
But yeah, if she comes, I'll let you know, and then we will summarize her experience. Yeah.
Sure. That's good. Thank you. And again, Oliver, Joseph, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. And at this point, we would be going into the breakout sessions. And yes, you may have
Grace is
Oliver.
back.
Oh, okay. Grace is back.
Yes. So we can give her some time to,
Okay. All right, Grace, over to you, please.
Grace, unmute yourself.
Grace is still connecting to audio.
Okay.
So while we're still waiting for Grace to join and sum up at the stage here with us, we would be having the breakout sessions. And in the breakout sessions, please be mindful that one person from your team would come to give the reflections at the end of the discussions, which would take about 10 minutes. So the question that we would be talking about is, Okay, what role can universities play in entrepreneurship development? But also in the meantime, if there happen to be any initial questions for Oliver or Joseph, you can drop them in the chat before we go to the breakout session. So again, just briefly on the topic we'd be discussing, what role can universities play in entrepreneurship development? And how can universities help students and graduates become more entrepreneurial? Have you yourself benefited from any entrepreneurial initiatives carried out by your university? Would love to hear your personal experiences and if there are any recommendations that you have as to what universities can do more for their students to make them entrepreneurial and employable. Okay, so I don't see any initial questions for Oliver and Joseph. So we would be going into the breakout sessions very shortly, and you would meet any of the champions in your various breakout sessions. Again, this is very important. Please remember that one person will join to give us the reflection at the end of the breakout sessions. And when it's almost time for the session to end, you would see a reminder as well. All right, welcome back, everyone. So I had a very interesting conversation in my breakout room, and I hope you did too. So as I mentioned, we would be having one person from each breakout room share their experience. So Catherine, how many breakout sessions were we able to have in total? And if anyone can raise their hand up or start speaking. Yes, so just to confirm how many breakout sessions we had.
We had 4 total.
Okay, 4 in total. Okay. So I was from the first breakout session. So I would go last. I would request breakout room 2, breakout room 3, and then breakout room 4. So who is speaking for breakout room 2, please? Any
We
volunteer?
had Tom. Tom was with me in the group, my group. So Tom,
great.
welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jack. Thanks for this great event where we can share knowledge. Jack and I were discussing a few ideas that we've seen that have worked well in terms of universities supporting entrepreneurship development. One is to try to embed soft skills or durable employability skills, not just through incubators and extracurricular opportunities, but also as a core unit or module within courses across different disciplines. In addition, they can invite established entrepreneurs to come provide talks or lectures or activities, normally through an incubator or entrepreneurship hub, but also as parts of other activities within the campus community. And also we discussed the prevalence of business plan competitions, which is done often by various governmental agencies in different countries, but also by universities. And those ones, especially when the private sector is actually engaged and the students are working as a group to create business plan, often can actually have positive results for actually going on, trying to then affront the issue of funding after that. So yeah, embedding life skills or soft skills into core units, as well as through activities at incubators, inviting established entrepreneurs to campus to animate different sessions, as well as, I would say, getting young entrepreneurs from the campus out into actual businesses to have experiences, and then having business plan competitions. That was what Jack and I discussed. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you too, Tom. So embedding the skills into the curriculum and not just as incubators or extracurricular activities, inviting entrepreneurs to join. And I mean, inviting entrepreneurs to speak to the students as well, and then having business plan competitions and also the buy-in from private sector. Thank you very much, Tom. So breakout room 3, who would like to speak, please? Okay, as we're waiting for breakout room 3, someone is saying, okay, right, please speak.
Okay, so we've had a wonderful conversation and we've raised 2 critical points. Now, we think that there is a need to reduce barriers to access and support for entrepreneurship. We have highlighted a few of those inhibitors. We look at the taxation systems. we're looking at, registration, bureaucracies, and so forth. It's important that if we look at the African continent as a whole, that there's a consideration, especially in supporting increased entrepreneurship among the youth, that these barriers are reduced or done away with. Favorable tax systems, favorable business registration and support systems, even incubation support by relevant agencies and entities. Number two, there is an issue with training on entrepreneurship. And we have raised an experience where, for example, I am from the TVET perspective. If training is delivered by a trainer, training on entrepreneurship is delivered by a trainer or a tutor who has been in the school for 20 to 30 years, would it make more sense than if it is delivered by someone from the industry? So we think for training to be more effective, for entrepreneurship to be more meaningful, and the training delivery to be more effective and, with real results, we should look into the aspect of involving the industry in training delivery. Because now from the industry, if we have a conversation and relationships with the industry, especially in training delivery, they bring in real experiences and practices in the labor market, are able to inform would-be entrepreneurs more meaningfully and prepare them adequately to venture into businesses and so forth. So those are the 2 points that we've raised. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So again, just quickly recapping, reducing the barriers to access entrepreneurial training and entrepreneurship ventures, and then training for on entrepreneurship. We should include more people in the industry to take that up. Thank you very much for your submission. So breakout room 4 now, then after that, I'll speak on behalf of breakout room 1. So who is volunteering to speak, please, from breakout room 4?
Great, thank you so much. So we, in our group, we had a great conversation. Also, we had a representative from Egypt, South Africa, and Botswana. So I will request Atif Ahmed, please, to go ahead and quickly recap the discussion. Thank you so much, Atif.
Yeah. Well, as an education advisor, I worked closely with the students in the higher education, and many universities in Egypt, And I think that the main points in entrepreneurship in my country is, the curriculum is not until now is not covering all the elements which is needed for entrepreneurship or successful entrepreneurship. Also, the bureaucracy in which is related to the government in establishing or founding, a project. That is one of the elements which we always face in my country. And most of the students complain about, finding resources, especially the funding, because actually, getting the fund for just a project or an idea or incubating, an innovative idea is not easy. I think also, the faculties, we have a challenge related to the faculties because actually, the culture of entrepreneurship in most of the Egypt higher education is not good and is not disseminated in all faculties. Most of the students think that the entrepreneurship is only exclusive to the faculty of commerce, faculty of economics, and that's all. However, many students complain that they are not given, what we call it, a training about, the entrepreneurship in the faculties. Although now we have a lot of the centers which teaches students the entrepreneurship skills and knowledge, and also the positive attitudes needed for the successful startups or ideas. However, that we also find, the outcomes of this teaching or learning entrepreneurship and the Egypt higher education is very low. And many of the ideas are killed from the scratch because actually they didn't receive support from other parties. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks to everyone for the summary of what happened in their breakout rooms. And just briefly, what was discussed in breakout room 1, that entrepreneurship shouldn't be the alternative, or that it shouldn't be what people have to do because they don't get jobs, but it should be a choice for people, and the real opportunities should be given. And also entrepreneurship should be embedded in the curriculum. I think this went round for all of us. And also there should be entrepreneurship hubs in universities so that students can go there and have their ideas worked on for them. And for teaching and lecturing, essentially, more case studies should also be used. So thank you all for sharing your reflections from the breakout sessions. So I'm going to hand over to Jack. I don't see there are no questions for us so far, but I'm handing over to Jack also to summarize the session for us, and then we share the next steps, and then we end our coffee chat for today. So over to you, Jack or Yvonne. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kofa, for that summary and leading the breakout group session. And at this moment, I would like to thank our speakers for having time to attend and give us the experience about entrepreneurship in Kenya and Uganda, and Kenya and Ghana, although we had tech problems with a speaker from Kenya who is currently in Ghana. I also want to thank our speakers for attending, our audience for attending this coffee chat, and also actively participating in our breakout group session. And we had a wonderful discussion that will continue even after this chat. You can join our communities of practice if you have not joined any. The BEPSE and also the HEET communities of practice, where we always have these discussions. And on this, I will go back and welcome back Akofa to give us any announcement, and then close out the chat.
All
welcome
right.
back, Akofa.
Thank you, Jack. Okay, so as Jack said, you can join our community of practice. So this is where you would share the link in the chat as well on the Youth Power site, and then you click on register, connect, and then the list of communities of practice that you can join would show up, and then you connect with us. So that's it for today, and thank you very much for joining our coffee chat. I hope you had a good time connecting with people, and you took emails and contacts to follow on from there. And also would like to see you join our communities of practice, so we'll share the link with you. And also just as a reminder that this recording and the slides would be available in case you need to go over and catch up on what we did today. So these are some of the upcoming events and opportunities that you can make use of on the Youth Power 2 Learning and Evaluation Network. So there's going to be the Youth Wellbeing Prize Competition, and applications close on September 29th. And there will also be a webinar hosted by the Youth Engagement Community of Practice on 31st August. So you can also check the Youth Power site for more events and also the past recordings. So at this point, again, thank you very much for joining us for this coffee chat, and we wish you the best of the rest of the day. Thank you. Bye.